So today's objection handling that we're going to cover three. Number one is we've sold our homes before on our own, so we don't need a real estate agent. Really? Okay, so I'm going to talk to you guys about that. I'm going to show you guys how to rebuttal that. The second one we're going to cover, this is the first time, it doesn't come up often, but this is the first time I've gotten this objection, probably because of the fact that Zillow is now getting into the real estate brokerage business. But the objection is going to be, we're going to list with Zillow and their new office in your city. Okay, going to work with you on that objection. And the final one we're going to do is the tried and true, the one that I get most, right? This is the most objection questions that I get in the group across all of the people in North America, is we want to wait until after the holidays and coronavirus to settle down. So we're gonna finish up our training on that one. So guys, when it comes to objection handling, it is not just the words that you say. It's a combination of how you say them, but it's also how you structure it. You've got to have a system broken down. So in these trainings, I give you a very simple system. I'm going to share with you the words. I'm going to share with you the style that I use. I'm a very communication style sales closer / trainer. So when we do this, it's very easy. Okay. Number one, you acknowledge. Number two, you approve. Number three, you embed a softener. And then number four, you ask a question. Okay, now in most cases, 90% of the time, you can use this structure on every single objection that you get. Sometimes you're going to use the acknowledge and the approve in a rebuttal. Sometimes you're just going to acknowledge, so these aren't necessarily, you could go acknowledge, softener, ask, but when the situation presents itself, use acknowledge, approve, softener, ask. So that is the structure that we're going to use. That's the structure I always use. Make it your own, and we'll go from here. So let's go into the first objection. I'm not sure you're the right agent for us. Okay, now first of all, I would repeat this as a question. Okay, I'd just take everything that they just give me, and my tonality would rephrase this as a question, because this by itself is not an objection. Now I could rebuttal this and get them to give me more information, but it's just as easy to get, you guys will see what I'm talking about. So I get this objection. I'm not sure if you're the right agent for us. You're not sure that I'm the right agent for you guys? And then quiet, right? Stop talking at that point. Because in communication, the way that we communicate on planet Earth, if you rephrase that as a question, it's going to trigger a mechanism in the seller's brain that it's their turn to talk, right? So I'm not sure you're the right agent for us. Wait, you're not sure that I'm the right agent for you? Well, yeah. I'm interviewing other agents. They seem to have more experience. They seem to know the market better. So now you're getting more information. Okay, you can't rebuttal this. This is too general. This objection is way too general to rebuttal on its own. You need to actually get more information. You need to get the true objection out before you can deal with that. But let's go with this. So acknowledge. Okay, so you're not sure that I'm the right agent for you. Yeah, I'm not sure if you have the right amount of experience to sell my home. Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I totally get that you're looking for a real estate agent with experience. Acknowledging. In fact, most homeowners want to work with the agent who has the most experience, most market knowledge, that can sell their home fast and for top dollar. Right? Okay, you're shaking your head at the same time. And then you're going to go into a softener. Now, if you don't mind me asking, that's a softener. And then you ask your question. Any question. What is it that's important to you about the experience that you're seeking about the agent? What type of experience are you seeking for an agent? What kind of agent are you looking for? What is it specifically that you're looking for in an agent, right? So just follow the system, right? So you can see, I'm not going to deal with this. A lot of real estate agents who don't practice their craft. And if you're wondering what your craft is, it's salesmanship, salespersonship, I think would probably be the more politically correct way to say it nowadays. But I'm not sure you're the right agent for us. I didn't deal with that. I needed to ask that question to get them to give me the real objection. And in the example that I gave you, it was just that they're looking for someone with experience. They didn't know if I had the experience. Now, if you're new to the business, now look, I've been in the business. I'm in my 23rd year of the business. If you're going to go toe to toe with someone like me, you're going to have to really, you're not going to be able to go toe to toe on experience, right? So you're going to have to, through the conversation, you're going to have to level shift that into your strengths, right? Some of you have heard me say is that you compete by not competing with people, right? If you're going to try to compete with the average agent just by being another average agent, now you've turned yourself into a commodity, and now you're going to start competing on price. And the person who reaches zero, right? It's going to be a race to zero. Whoever gets closest to zero on your commission is going to win when all you are is just competing in a general. So you're going to want to really focus on your strengths, focus on your value proposition, and then that's how you're going to respond to this. But the structure is going to be the same. Acknowledge, approve, softener, ask. Okay. All right. So that's number one. That's how we rebuttal. I'm not sure you're the right agent for us. This is going to be an objection next week in the role-playing group. So you're going to want to practice this. After this recording, we'll make sure that we get the replay out. Or just, if you're already on the YouTube channel, or for those of you live, go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Brett Matsura, and it will be up there by the end of the day. Okay, here's the second objection. Oop, that's not it. That's last week's. So it was this one. We're going to list with Zillow and their new office in the city. So again, guys, so it doesn't matter what the objection is. Okay, you follow the same process. Now, we're going to list with Zillow. What I would do on this is you're going to list with Zillow, the new office in our city, right? Reframe that as a question. It works 99% of the time. And the only reason why I say it works 99% of the time is because you're going to get that 1% that's just going to look at you, right? You're going to have to do some rapport building in order to do that. But we're going to list with Zillow and their new office in, insert your city. I'm in Irvine. We're going to list with Zillow and their new office in Irvine or in South County or in Orange County or whatever. So going back to, switch screens on you. Going back to this, acknowledge. Okay, so first of all, you're going to repeat it as a question. Oh, you're going to work with Zillow? Yeah, they have a new office in the city, and they just opened up, and they have a tremendous amount of marketing, and they're a big website, so I just want to use them. Now, here's the angle that I would go with this. Any large corporation like Zillow, Redfin, people who don't have independent contractors like us, they are going to segment their services, right? They're going to anyone who's dealing in a high volume, it's likely not going to be representing a person. They're going to have a conveyor belt system. They're going to be like building a truck. So you're going to probably want to go heavy on your service, on your experience. And that's kind of the way I'm going to angle it. So you're going to acknowledge, you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I totally get why someone would want to work with Zillow. They do have a huge digital marketing presence. In fact, most homeowners are looking for ways to maximize their exposure, right? So look what I just did there, guys. I approved, but I also did what's called a level shift. Okay, a level shift is taking something that they are talking about and you don't really want to deal with it. So you're going to crumble up and transform it and turn it into something else. So when I approved most homeowners, I deflected onto a group of people It's a one-on-one conversation, but I deflected. They're a homeowner, so they're part of this group, but it diffuses the directness of it. So when I approved, I switched it up. See, they said they wanted to work with Zillow because of their huge digital marketing platform. And the way that I level shifted it is by saying, look, most homeowners want to choose an agent that has, that will provide the maximum exposure for their property so that they can sell their home for the most money for top dollar. Is that you as well? Right? And then they'll, shake their head, yes. If you're having a face-to-face communication with them, you're going to want to be shaking their head, because if you shake your head, they're going to shake their head. It's crazy, the things that we do. Then you're going to throw in your softener. Right? Now, if you don't mind me asking, that's probably my most common softener. In fact, those of you that have talked to me, you know that that's probably my most common softener. The other one I do is, while I got you on the phone, hey, while I'm talking to you, or I can do a double softener. Hey, while I got you on the phone, if you don't mind me asking, right? That's the softener. They may mind you asking, but the fact that you say that makes it a little bit more conversational. And then you ask the question, right? If there was a way that you could maximize your exposure and sell your home for top dollar in the least amount of time without working with Zillow, would you be open to a strategy like that? Well, yeah, my goal is to sell the home for the most money in the quickest amount of time. Yeah, absolutely. So is your goal, and so you're telling me that your goal is not just to work with Zillow just for the sake of working with Zillow. It's working with Zillow because you feel that perhaps they'll sell your home in the fast amount of time for the most money. Is that what I'm understanding? Well, yeah, that's right. Okay, so if I could share with you a strategy that makes you confident that I could get it sold for more in the quickest amount of time for the most money, is that something that you would be receptive to learning about? Well, what is it that you're going to be doing different that Zillow's not going to be different? That's a really great question. I just repeat it, guys. Every objection that I get, I just repeat it. That's a really great question. A lot of homeowners are concerned about the differences that most real estate agents do between each other. Right? And then you could go in for the close right here. And that's exactly why I want to meet with you, because, I have a 22-step action plan that has proven that over time that has sold literally hundreds of homes in this market. Not in the United States, not in California, not in Orange County, in this market, right? It's coming down, right? You need to focus on being a specialist. Anyone can be a generalist, right? Anyone who has a real estate license can sell home anywhere. If you're going to maximize your exposure and maximize your value proposition, you need to make sure that you are, at a minimum, you are the area expert, or you're the expert in your niche, right? Could be divorces, could be a neighborhood, it could be defaults, could be a variety of different things. That's part of your business plan. But if you want to compete on a high level, then you need to make sure that your value proposition is very different than the general competition. Okay, so that's how I would do the Zillow objection. Let's go to the last one. We want to wait until after the holidays and coronavirus to settle down. This is actually really two separate objections. They want to wait until after the holidays, but yet they want to wait until after coronavirus to settle down. So let's go back to the system, acknowledge. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, actually, let me back up before I say that, before I go into this. This is the most common objection I ever get. And it's not just common objection because it's waiting till after the holidays and coronavirus, because, actually there's always a holiday, right? There's always a holiday. There's only August that doesn't have a holiday in it. But when people talk about the holidays, they're talking about Thanksgiving, they're talking about Christmas, they're talking about New Year's, especially during this time of year. But here's the thing. This objection that we want to wait until blank. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if they want to wait until after Easter. Doesn't matter if they want to wait until after, the full moon. Doesn't matter if they want to wait until, I don't know, fill in the blank. The objection is always going to be the same. Your response is always going to be the same. Okay, so the goal here, though, depending on where you're at in this conversation, I'm hoping that you don't get this objection while you're sitting at the kitchen table, right? Because when you're sitting at the kitchen table, you've done a lot of prep time, you've done a lot of commute time, and you're spending a lot of time to get this objection. You want to try and get this objection on your first one or two calls, because when you're prospecting, the two things that you need to know, when you're prospecting, you should be calling people who own a home. You should be talking to people who who live in your market area, and then the questions remain on: do they want to sell it? Why do they want to sell it? And when do they want to sell it? Okay, that's when you qualify that something has a lead, and that's when this objection should be coming up. It should not be coming up. The whole listing process is a pre-qualification process, right? You need to work with people on your terms. It shouldn't be the other way around, right? The doctor doesn't ask you on how they should diagnose you, right? They ask you a series of questions. Every professional doesn't just happen with doctors. It happens with lawyers. It happens with financial consultants. Happens with your CPA. You name it, it's all about it. So you're asking the series of questions, and once you're asking the series of questions to get the objections, so you can satisfy those. And it's like one of those books that we used to read, those story books that at the end it says, if you want to do this, go to page 9. If you want to do this, go to page 52. This is kind of the same thing. Right? When you ask the question and they give you a response, now you need to redirect your line of questionings on how you want to do it. You want to make sure that you're going on a listing presentation that gives you the highest probability of taking that listing. Now, back onto the objection handling. We want to wait until after the holidays and coronavirus. Let's go back to this. Acknowledge. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I totally get that you want to wait until after the holidays, more importantly, probably until after the coronavirus settles down. Most homeowners during this time of year, and actually, guys, when I'm recording this, we're at, December 3rd? Yeah, a lot of people are going to wait until after the holidays. So a lot of times you're going to be teeing up and doing lead generation for January, right? We're at that point that unless you're closing a cash transaction, you're probably not going to be able to get anything newly originated and into escrow this month, actually closed this month. So the focus is work on trying to get things in escrow under contract this month, because statistically speaking, mathematically speaking, the deeper we get into December, if you don't put something under contract or in escrow, chances are you're not having a commission in January, and that's not good. Okay. And depending on how crazy the market is, might even push out to February. So when we go back into this, you acknowledge, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I totally get that you want to wait until after the holidays, and probably more importantly, until it's more safe and that the COVID situation is under wraps. In fact, as I talk with other homeowners, a lot of them feel the same way. But if you don't mind me asking, now here comes the question, guys. Now, this is a double-ended one, right? They're talking about holidays and talking about Christmas. I totally understand, that Christmas and getting across the holidays makes a lot of sense. But when do you think that they're going to have the COVID situation handled? Guys, when do you think they're going to have the COVID situation handled? For those of you that have heard me talk about this in the past, I don't know of any virus that the human race has completely eradicated. So I don't think COVID is ever going to be all right. Now, there's some promising vaccines, but they still have to get that distributed. Got to make sure that they have the safety tests in tune, so you don't take it and your face falls off. So ask them, when do you think that's going to happen? I don't know when that's going to happen. Yeah, I don't know when that's going to happen either. So if you don't mind me asking again, why do you have to sell this home? Okay, why is the motivation? If the motivation is big enough, then they'll do it before COVID, right? If their back's against the wall and they got to sell it and they got to move, look, COVID's not that important. especially because we've been in the COVID situation. We've proven that we have a way that we can sell homes, that we can show homes in a safe environment. And I have not seen any report to where somebody has contracted COVID by going and looking at a house. I have seen reports where people have gotten it from going to restaurants and going on planes and traveling and such. But, knock on wood, I don't see that we are the mass spreaders of this because of the protocols in place that most people are doing to sell homes, right? So they're going to ask this question, when do you think it's going to happen? I don't know. I don't know. But why do you have to sell your home? Well, I have to sell it because I got a new job and it's out of state, and so we need to sell it. That's interesting. Congratulations on the new job. When do you have to start your new job? Well, I have to start my job in 3 months, in March. So actually, I have to start my job now. I'm going to be moving there, but we're planning on selling the house, and my family's going to stay back, and then they're going to move later. Oh, so you're going now, guys. I'm acknowledging, I'm repeating, I'm showing active listening skills. Right. So I'm hearing you correctly. You're going to go start your new job, and you're going to leave your family behind to deal with the house. Am I hearing you right? Now, notice how I changed the tune of that. I was like an infomercial. I made it worse. I made it sound a lot worse than probably the conversation that they had in their head, right? So let me get this straight. You're taking off. You're going to another state, and you're going to leave your family behind to deal with the housing situation, but only after COVID. Yeah, I am. Okay. If there was a way that you could actually get the home sold and take the whole family with you at the same time, making sure that not only was it a safe environment to sell your house, but you also were able to maximize your profit on the house and sell it quickly, is that something that you would at least consider? Guys, I'm not going for the hard close, right? This is conversational selling. Is that something that you would consider? Well, yeah, I would consider it. Okay, so if you're open to it, what I'd like to do is see if I could set up a time with you to meet with you, to share with you what I do to get homes sold in a safe environment that could maximize you the profitability in your house and sell it quickly and get your family to move with you. Would you have some time this week to meet with me for 30 or 40 minutes? Well, what is it that you do to get homes sold? Well, that's a really great question. In fact, I'm actually going to be sending you over a packet of information before we meet. It's going to outline my 22-point Brett's awesome plan to sell homes. If I get that to you, this week, would you be able to review it? Yeah, I'd be able to review it. Okay, so after you review it, do you think that you would be able to allocate, you and your wife would be able to allocate 30 or 40 minutes this week to actually, meet and go over the process? Well, this week is pretty tough, but I could do maybe next week. Okay, so I have my calendar in front of me. Do you have a date specifically that would work better than others for you? Yeah, Tuesdays are typically better. Okay, Tuesday, I'm looking at my calendar. I have a late morning at 11 o'clock, or I could do maybe early afternoon at 1:30. Do either of those times work for you? Well, on Tuesday, I'd be better off doing 3:30. And I can't do 1:30. I could do 3:30. Later is the better. Okay, so you want to do 3:30. I could probably do like 3:30, 3:45 to be safe. Would that work for you? Yeah, 3:45 would be good. Okay, great. I'm going to put that in my calendar. Okay. Now, guys, this is the way I did this. I don't want them dictating the terms that I always want to stay in charge of the conversation and the process. So even though it's really, really minor, if they're going to suggest a time, if they're going to offer a different suggestion on time, I want to make sure that I'm adjusting it and they're accepting my time, right? Because I'm the professional. Not to mention, even if you're not busy, you want to make sure that you're busy, because busy people get things done, and people want to work. If you want to get something done and you want to get something done right, work with somebody who's busy, because if they're not busy, then there's a reason why they're not busy. Right? And it's usually not the reason that they're selling the most homes and that they're the best agent for the job, right? So you'll notice I said 1:30, he said 3:30. I said, okay, I think I could probably do 3:30, but to be safe, would 3:45 work for you still? Yeah, 3:45 would work. Perfect. Okay. All right, guys. So let's kind of go ahead and tie things up. So we went over 3 objections in here. Number 1, we've sold homes before on our own and we don't need another agent, right? Statistically, that's wrong, but whatever. There's still those people that could actually do it. Number 2, we're going to list with Zillow and their new office in your city. And then the last one that we just did was we want to wait until after the holidays and coronavirus to settle down. So it's not exactly the words. You guys know how I would do this. You guys need to practice this. Okay, there is absolutely no way that you're going to internalize this without practicing it. Here is the structure: acknowledge, approve, softener, ask. It works on every single thing. Maybe not exactly 100%, but you could use this exact equation for 90% of your conversations in anything, not just sales. Okay. But you're not going to get any better if you're not going to practice. So these are the objections that are going to come in on next week's role playing. If you're not a member if you're catching this on the replay, if you're not a member, go to realestateroleplaying.com, get signed up, get on the schedule. If you are catching this on the replay, then the comments are down below. But guys, that's all I have for today. I thank you for taking the time out of your day. For those that are watching this live and for those that are catching on this replay, I know that you have options. So get out there, practice, talk to people, and let's close some deals. Take care, guys.